Hey everyone, I believe it is October 28th. It's Friday. I'm going to post this later today. If you are new here, please read the description below. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. So my bias for or against Elon is I like the guy. I've known of him since like PayPal, the beginning of PayPal days. I was very interested in this guy. He seemed very, I don't know, there's a very interesting energy about him. I like it a lot. And so that's what I feel. Of course, I don't agree with everything he does, but I don't even know everything he does, right? I don't really pay that much attention to it, unfortunately, which is, I probably should. So that's that. I'm aware that he has just purchased Twitter, and I can see a lot of this really playing out in my mind of what I'm already picking up with regards to you, Elon, okay? So I did a video on you over a year ago, maybe a year and a half or 2 years ago. I did not post it. The reason I didn't post it, I was feeling really good. I remember that feeling I was getting in the center of the reading, feeling like I'm totally in line with what messages I was receiving from your guardian angels through mine to communicate. And yet when I got towards the end, I was seeing a mirror, okay? I was seeing a mirror in the middle of space, and this mirror represented you. And the mirror, they were showing me, like they had pulled me out of this space, like of this universe. It's like an under other dimension. So it was like I was having this out of body experience where they were pulling me. I won't even say out of body experience. It wasn't quite like that, but it was like access to I don't know, like a different reality, but I was still bound here. Like my awareness was still here. I'm not sure if I'm describing that exactly how it felt to me, but it doesn't matter. So basically, they're showing me a mirror and they're telling me to look at this mirror, and they're saying like, this is Elon, and I couldn't see your soul. I could only see this mirror, and it was starting to make me feel anxious. And I was asking my guides, I'm like, where is his soul? Why am I seeing this mirror? And they were saying, this mirror is you. And so I was trying to interpret it, and it got to the point that I got too stressed out, so I just turned it off and didn't post it because I felt like I was going in the wrong direction. Not about the mirror, but and not what my guides were telling me, but because I still know, I knew at the time, but I know it a little bit better this time around, that I was not prepared for that. There's something about it that I, like, it's almost as if that reading was in preparation for this reading, because they're bringing me back to it, and they're bringing me back towards the beginning of that last reading where I could see disappointment, frustration because something wasn't working out for you, not the way that you had planned, and this almost, not necessarily depression. I wouldn't go that far necessarily, but it was almost as if wondering like, why did this not work out? Why is it that I thought I had all my ducks in a row. I thought everything was supposed to pan out exactly the way it was supposed to. And so what happened? What went wrong? It was blindsiding, but that's not the main message or the feeling I'm getting. It's more of just like such disappointment, like just genuinely pure disappointment, and almost like this feeling like ego kind of getting involved, where it's like, what are people gonna think? It's like letting people down, confusing people. Like, what are people gonna think about this, that I failed. But you didn't actually fail, and you know that you didn't fail, but it's that perception that you failed, right? But you didn't actually fail. You have to give up to fail, right? And so they're kind of bringing me full circle to today of where are you today and what you learned in that process from 2 years ago until now, or a year and a half ago till now. There's something about you that has completely shifted, completely changed. It's your perception about things. It's almost as if it was an obstacle put in your way in order for you to restructure everything. Even your mindset, just restructure absolutely everything. And really just kind of put it up to fate, put it up into God's hands, really. Which actually brings me to why there was so much tension in that last video towards the end, is because my guardian angels, like, they instructed me to shut the camera off. Like, I was starting to get really stressed out, and they're like, just stop, like, stop here. Because I could feel, I was just going in a completely wrong direction, because I was trying to adhere to my belief system that, honestly, like, I wasn't, of course, okay, they're explaining to me, they're like, okay, what, like, about what I'm about to say. So, of course, I've been indoctrinated into different things in life, right? The way that things, I perceive things is an indoctrination to a certain capacity. And so they're saying, even if you weren't religiously indoctrinated into something, your value system, or what you've created, even if it was pulled from your spiritual evolution, like the way that you have come to discover the things that you have, you have still drawn from influences around you, or wherever you've picked this up from, right? So there's still an influence there that has kind of allowed my ego to create something that would make better sense to me, like a sense of security, in order for me to understand something when I don't fully grasp it, right? Because I'm not ready to fully grasp it. And so at that time, whenever I did your reading, I was thinking, like, honestly, I can't remember. It was something very religious bound, and I knew it wasn't right, but I couldn't understand it. I could not figure it out in that moment. And so even though I don't understand it present day, I'm going to say it, and I'm going to explain later some stuff about psychometry that's very important that it adheres here and just to this whole reading. Okay, so you, in spirit or in soul, right, you are an equalizer, an energetic equalizer. And I can see this in the way that you progress through life as well. It's like you are a reflection, like that mirror, you are a reflection of the majority of souls, right? It's like you're equalizing and reflecting back by reflecting back what people as a mass, I don't know if it's really the masses, but it's like whatever the majority is pushing towards, you are reflecting it back in a greater scale. And by reflecting that back, and this is energetically, and it somehow ties into the way that you navigate your life as well, and the things that you do with your career. But basically, it's like everyone has free will, everyone has choice. And so what the majority is moving towards, you are reflecting that back to them. And by reflecting that back to them, then these souls, right, these human beings who have free will are able to, I'm hearing the word disseminate, but it's like disseminate, but what are you disseminating? they're disseminating the things that don't serve them. But the more, it's like the more that negativity rallies, evil rallies, the more positivity and goodness kind of swallows that up. And so your reflection on a greater scale changes the internal process, like the way that internally people feel and react and just conduct their lives. Like, people change because they can see on a massive scale what that looks like, and they can discern whether or not that's something they're comfortable with. And you're a very rare breed or like your purpose, like your soul's purpose, like this mission that you have, it's very rare. It's very rare and very ancient and very significant, very important, because being an equalizer, it shows me, I have often said, you're either for God or you're against God. There's no in between. Energetically, you're going in one direction or the other, and which way are you moving towards, right? There is this specific breed, I'm going to call it a breed because it's like you come from this ancient lineage, okay? From the beginning of times, you've come from this ancient lineage that has, through, it's through galaxies, through universes, through space, and because the way that everything exists is obviously not the way that we perceive it, but you and this breed is neutral. There is a neutrality. There is a neutrality. However, the neutrality exists as that balance of current. It's like it's like the way that I see it is it moves the current. Like, you move the current. That's what they're saying. It's like you move it. You move it. So you're neutral. You go with it. But that doesn't mean that you attach good nor evil to you. You don't attach that to you. There's like this shield of like protection, like again, it's like a neutral protection around you and your type, where it would be like if it's like, we have the sun gods and the moon gods, and you're Uranus. Like, it's like you are neither. You are not, I don't know if Uranus has anything to do with, or Uranus, I don't know. But I don't know if that has anything to do with the gravitational pull, or like anything to do with the earth, or if it's just something cute nearby. I have no idea what it does. But it's like, well, then that would be it. It's like, you have a position, you have a role that people are not, they're not, it's like you're not aware of it because you don't see it. It's like you always see things in black and white, so you don't see the in-between, right? It's like looking at colors and you see a specific, like, the lens of like the colors that you can perceive without knowing that there are colors beyond there, or like even like sounds, right? You have a specific range of sounds you can hear without really being privy to the other sounds, or if it's like that, those background high frequencies that people can hear, and it's like you just get used to it. It's like that. And so you have a very unique role in this world, many worlds, all worlds. And this is a gift. This is a gift from God, right? This is your divine purpose. This is what you were meant to do. And I see how it's very interesting. I feel like there's a different type of giants, okay? I see in my mind there are giants. I've talked about this in other readings on my channel where I see, prior to the floods, I see giants, and they're demonic. They're from some other galaxy. They're not from this galaxy. Somewhere near in this galaxy. They're like somewhere nearby. But not so much anymore. Like, it's like somehow they've distanced. Like, we've been being pulled away from them. Our perception, you know, it has changed the way that, okay, and you're a type of giant, but it's not, again, it's a neutrality. There's a very, you're not that, you're not evil, and but you're good. You are good, because honestly, I feel like that's very divine, because God is neutral in the sense that he only acknowledges good, right? It's like he turns away, but he allows evil. He allows it. It's not that he allows you to be in your godly nature, right? Do you get what I'm saying? Okay, it doesn't matter, because they're not even wanting me to talk about that anymore. They're wanting me to talk about, they're reprimanding me. Hold on. Because I spent too long at the end of that, because they told me to move on and I didn't. Okay. So they're showing me, I have the card actually here. They're showing me light beings, this card. And aliens, basically, right? And they're showing me like how this is a galaxy, right? And they're looking here. So they're showing me how energy, or, okay, how's this? Right. So they're pointing out that the reason why they wanted to explain this, they wanted to explain the reason why these demonic entities that are of this giant lineage are further away, is because on a soul level, the collective, that's how we operate in order to change universal laws beyond here, beyond this reality. And we could, in fact, change the universal laws on Earth, like within this solar system and within this galaxy, within this universe. We could change these universal laws. We're always changing the universal laws, is what they're saying. But if you want to talk specifically about Earth, we can disrupt and change the universal laws so long as the collective changes. So the way that we change, and they're pulling me back again, they're like, so that reading, there was a reading I did prior, I don't know, some general reading, and I talked about basically like the collective and how we created in conjunction with God, of this reality and multiple realities. And they're saying we can change that, and how the neutralizer, you, are the people like you, are affecting that, right? You are controlling that in some. Now you're not controlling it. You're allowing it. You're kind of the You're the manufacturer, right? Or you're just like the. They're really drawing me to you as like. They're bringing me back to the prior reading, and they're doing it more intensely, where I could feel like it's a full body awareness. Like I'm fully aware of my body. I'm fully aware of the way that how I feel, right? Like I'm like, almost there's a feeling of amazement of what I'm capable of doing in my human body, in this avatar. Like, it's so amazing. And they're saying how you are here specifically for this reason, as you usually have been, but you aren't here often. You aren't on Earth often. When you do, you make a huge impacts. There's like 2 or 3, like maybe not even that little, but in the greater scheme of things, of incarnations where it was a more humble life, but your role is so significant and so impactful that it's not often that you do. Who am I seeing? I'm seeing a man with glasses, round glasses. I don't know who this is. Maybe back in the 1800s. So it wasn't that long ago, 1700s. Like late 1700s, 1800s. Not that long ago. He has round glasses. He has a thinner build. Tallish, like 5 foot. I don't know, I'm short, so he's taller than me. I asked her to frame a reference, and I heard Edison, so probably around when Edison was around stealing everything. I don't know. So anyway, so okay, what they want you to know that you were there, that's potentially you, or you have some memory of that. You should have some recollection of that in this life. You should know this. You should believe this. There should be something that you're drawn to. There's something there. There's something there, okay? And that's that reason. And they actually, okay, so I don't remember when, I think this was in this 15 or 1600s, so maybe I'm wrong this time. The vampire, I love this goodness gracious, what is it? What is that book called? I can't even think of the name, about the Dracula. Vladimir. You know, Vlad, I'm sure you know the connection with the Impaler and Dracula, but maybe it's just the time that the book was written, because they're showing me the reason why I'll tell you the connections, because I saw a horse, a black horse, and then I saw a horse and carriage, and then I felt the intensity, the abruptness. In the book, Dracula shows up and picks this guy up, picks like the character up. I can't even remember his name. It's a really good book if you haven't. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But he shows up and picks him up, and that's how I saw that image really quick. Because I was saying, like, just give me a little bit more information. There's something. I mean, that would actually really make sense for things I didn't even say. But anyway, I didn't say because it's just my opinion, but basically, like, well, the Impaler and the dragon family, and their origins and their descendants, and how honestly being an equalizer is not for evil. It's quite opposite. It's quite against. And so it's very monk-like to me. It's very monk to me. And you know, they would not like you. They would not like you one bit. Because being neutral is also being pacifist in some ways. Not to say that you're a pacifist, because I don't believe that you are, but energetically, I don't know, it's a very beautiful place to be. But it's also a very dangerous place to be, an extraordinarily dangerous place to be. And they're actually showing me very quickly, they're not saying this is you, but they're showing me you. And then they're showing separate from you Assange, Julian Assange. But I can physically feel the distance between you. I can feel the entrapment there. And I can feel you kind of moving freely, but there's a connection, there's a unifying connection, but two different lives, right? And very different. But they're wanting me to highlight him and highlight that. They're highlighting that. Okay, so they want me to talk about a monk now, and psychometry. They're tying that in, and they're also, this is a separate note from all of that, a dodecahedron, and love. And they're like, I love you, dodecahedron, or like a dodecahedron, I love you. There's a connection. Maybe you really, really like that shape. I don't think that's it. I think there's probably a deeper meaning to that. I'm just, okay, anyway, so, okay, I'll get to that. They're telling me about it. Okay. Okay. So they're telling me to tell the whole story. So they were telling, well, okay, here's the whole story, is I was thinking about psychometry lately, and a lot of people say it's super, super easy, and it's not really something that I do. I was actually thinking, oh, I should start practicing that, you know, and just kind of expanding and just seeing what's going on here, right? And I'm just like thinking about it, and I'm like, what exactly, you know, I kind of go back to thinking like I've done it unknowingly before, but I haven't intentionally done it. So what exactly was I doing? And they showed me this image of myself, and how when I do readings, it varies on the way that I receive information. And they're showing me specifically the way that I receive information sometimes is I will tap into an energy, whether they're crossed over or they're here. I will tap into the energy, and I will feel the energy. It's like the energy, chords, vibrations, remnants. It's like I kind of like the way that it feels is like this current of me, and I'm just kind of like feeling, and then I can feel them, and then I just kind of like, it's like rubbing a crystal ball. I'm like rubbing their energy. And so that's why I put limitations. Sometimes I'll put limitations, or if I could feel that someone is going to feel really vulnerable about a reading, then I'll like step away, and I'll try and like put blind spots so I'm not really seeing too much. And then I'm like, you know, and I set the intention, and I'm always aware of where my guardian angels are so that I'm not misguided, because it's a very, 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 very easy way to get intercepted by demons, or just evil energy that's wandering these other planes, because they're so good at emulating, they're so good at masking, and also tapping into the energy and then pretending, right? They'll create an image that is not true, or they'll create an image of something that I could potentially perceive as being their guide, or I can perceive it as being them, like if they've crossed over and it's like they're doing this and they're saying this. It's like that is so, it can happen so fast if you're not discerning. It can happen so fast if you're not aware, and so easily. And if you're the way that it changes your life, you can see it in people's eyes. You could see it in the way that they just like change their interests or the things that they say. It's like they're not even aware of how it absorbed into their energy and into their field. And so it hijacks them without even knowing it. And you don't even know sometimes of like from that potential, like even if you give good information or positive information, where is it recruiting later down the line? What is the bigger reason for this misguidance? Or if you're giving out more information, like if these demons are tapping into information that this person's not supposed to know, like if I'm doing reading and they're not supposed to know it, and I'm talking to a demon and I tell them this information, how is that going to misguide them on their path? If these people use their free will to go towards that because they're seduced by that, right? So they're showing me how when I feel the energy, I can see beyond that. And if I'm too focused on that energy, then it can happen. Like, you know, they're always trying. They will always try and find weak spots in people. They're always trying. And so you have to be hyper aware, hyper focused, hyper clean, energetically clean in order to, they're saying chicken scratches, because that's how I associate sometimes with people who are under influence. They do a lot of tattoos and stuff, but it's like, I'm not going to do it, but it's like chicken scratches. Anyway, so, and your ex, she's an ex now, I believe, but you're still together. So it's like she's, I don't think she's a bad person. I don't think she's an evil person or anything. I think she's a really beautiful person. Energetically very, very beautiful person. And I see, like, I would agree in some ways of the beauty of darkness, in the sense that in complete and utter darkness, minus the chaos, minus the confusion and despair, that is where, or fear, but that's where you can sit with yourself with no distractions. When everything in a room is absolutely dark, you have nothing but yourself to listen to there. Everything else cannot distract you. And that's where you can find yourself. That's where you can rediscover yourself. That's where you can decide things for yourself of what needs to be uncovered and released, or welcomed in. So there is a lot of opportunity, positive opportunity in that. But that's not where you should remain. So anyway, so they were talking about this psychometry, right? Or I was talking about it, and they were explaining how that's essentially what happens in psychometry is you're reading the energy, you're feeling the energy left over from whomever had it, right? Whomever had this object. And they were showing how having, like, I've been having this desire to be more minimalistic because I feel like I just feel drawn to do that. But if I were to actually, like, logically try and make sense of why I feel this way, I don't have attachments to the things that I have necessarily. Like, some things, like when I really sit down and think about it, I'm not ready to let it go, but I wouldn't be torn up about it if I didn't have it anymore. And so, and also I think that it could do a lot of good for people who actually, like, love the things that I have and, like, would appreciate it and enjoy it. But then on, like, a deeper level, I think creatively speaking, things just get in the way of that creative flow. It's a lot of that distraction that just kind of blocks the energy, blocks you from really being able to just kind of perceive beyond the things that you're surrounded by, the burdens that it might carry in some form. Not always, but if it's not really contributing that much, or it's just a representation of something that you enjoy, then it almost kind of limits you, right? It limits that creative process. And then they showed me with the psychometry, it's like you as a monk and as someone like you, because this is significant for you, is leaving behind too many things allows that energy feel, that a potential to feel. It's like having, if you leave your stuff and someone, you don't know their intentions, or if they take it, what they plan to do with it, you know? So it's like keeping yourself sacred by like leaving with nothing. Like leaving with nothing. You don't need anything other than the basics, you know, of survival. You don't need that. So don't even attach your energy to things that people will want. Because I feel like, I mean, this isn't obvious, and I would say that you're fully aware of this anyway, that there are a lot of people that do not like you. There are a lot of people that are looking at you very under a microscope, and an energetic microscope, like people who are grouped up much more powerful. They're showing me this other, they want to talk about this, so okay, they're saying don't finish. They're like, don't finish this sentence, just say it. Okay, so they want me to tell this story. So back in the day, I had this feeling so strong to go to this place. I don't know, I didn't even know what this place was. It was just like this random like area. Okay, and I just felt drawn. I kept driving towards this area. I would always pass it. And then I finally got to this place where it had a sign. And I'm like, what is this place? I need to go in there. You know, this is over the course of like years. I'm like, I need to go. And I finally find the sign. And then that took like months. So I ended up going, and I took 2 people with me. And they had me go through, they had us go through like this like thing, like welcome thing, whatever, you know, and then they allowed us access, right? And I've only been there like 3 times, okay, since then. This is like many years ago. And so I don't know, I felt I just felt something there, and I don't know, this is like back, I wasn't really thinking about all this psych stuff. I'm just like, I don't know, I felt so drawn to this place. And so many years later, I found a keychain. So okay, so this place is like this spiritual place, and there's a guru. He's passed away, right? He's not here anymore, but there's a guru that created this place, and these people that honor his message. And so I found a keychain with him on it, and I'm like, okay, that's weird but cool. So I get the keychain, and and during the time that I got the keychain, I kept thinking about him. I kept thinking about this guru. And then later on, my friend that had gone with me told me 2 separate times, actually 3 things. It was 3 things that were so intense that he had to tell me, because he was like, I met this random person, we kept talking, and someone told me just keep talking to them, and then they talked about this guy, and so it was like 3 followers of this guy. And so I go back to this place, and I could feel something like so intensely again, whatever. And then I find out from the conversations that my friend had with these people that, number one, this specific place is very psychic. It's a very psychic, there's a lot of psychics there. And they're very selective of who they let in. They're like, they get really, really angry or like defensive. Like they make it very difficult for people to get in unless they have like this feeling or whatever. So, and they were extraordinarily pleasant with me. And anyway, and then the third thing, the third person said that there's a way that it speeds up karma in there. There's an energetic way that speeds up karma. And what was interesting about that third person, I actually, before they told him that, I met with one of them, and I didn't know this whole psychic thing yet, like, oh, it's a bunch of psychics or whatever. I'm kind of mixing up the timeline, so it might be a little confusing. But anyway, I spoke to this person. They were like, how did you find this place? And I was like, I don't know. I just, like, thought about it. I don't know. I felt pulled to go there. And they told me their story where it's very similar in some ways. So anyway, it's a place where, like, a lot of people are just drawn to energetically, right? And I was having these visions where I feel like they're doing seances there, or like conjuring something. They're doing something there. That's not to speak ill will on them at all, but it feels like there's something going on there. And I kept having these dreams and like feelings, and then I found out it was around a certain holiday. And so, a specific holiday to them actually. And so, yeah, I don't know what, I'm starting to, what is the whole point, guardian angels? The whole point is that there are so many places like that, and there are so many different instances of people that you have no idea even exist. You are probably privy to a lot of it, and you're probably aware of a lot of it, but to the scope of things you're not fully aware of. And while the people that I'm talking about, I feel they're very benevolent people, very good people. You never know anyone's true intentions, and you don't know where things can get squirrely within that community, especially if it's a community where the guru or the guidance is no longer there. And you can think even back to like any sort of psychic fairs or psychic communities or anything like that, where that line can get blurred, that line can get crossed. Or you think about what I was talking about with psychometry, and it's like, how do you know if you aren't discerning? How do you know if you don't have a moral foundation? How do you know if you don't have a spiritual foundation? How do you know? So many different factors go into it, right? There's so many issues that can potentially happen. Not saying that they are or that they will, but there's this big, I'm going to say it's a warning, but it's more of a cautionary tale or cautionary caution. Very caution, that they want you to take heed of. So I don't know how this is relevant. They're also showing me elves. This is totally separate from everything I just said. They're showing me little elves, like Christmas elves. I don't know if that has any relevancy, but they're showing me Christmas elves. Then another subject. I have this. It's from fossil era, because I like fossils. And I actually had a fossil my dog found, and then I think she ate it. But they wanted me to show this. There's some sort of relevancy to a fossil, or a fossil. I'll just hold it up to be read if that focuses, because I'm not sure if I can pronounce this properly. It's actually, they give this for free when you purchase from them, and I haven't done anything with it. Obviously, it's still in the bag. So, fossil mosasaur teeth, several species, age late Cretaceous, approximately 7 million years. Location is in Morocco. I don't know how to pronounce that. Caribga? Okay. We're gonna get one more. I'm here. Take these and then put them back. Share your art with the world. Okay. It's time to allow others to enjoy your creative work. Classes, learning and teaching are part of your higher calling. That's for sure. Gotcha. Okay, so with the psychometry and everything to do with that, they're also pointing out how, and then they're tying it back into the aliens and how we can adjust or change the universal laws. It's like, are we actually it's not necessarily changing the universal laws. They're saying it's more of like how you perceive the universal laws. I guess because technically they're scientific theories, right? Or are they always theories, or are they just known? Because basically, like, the way that energy remains on an object, and they're showing me how they're like, okay, you know how crystals or like stones or quartz or whatever, like, it has an energetic property that actually like, you can actually use that for, you know, technology or whatever. And I'm like, okay, yeah. So, and they're saying, like, you know how people like try and cleanse the space or cleanse the area or whatever. And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, well, what would happen if you cleanse an object that was significant to someone, and then they took that object to someone who practiced that kind of psychic work, right? And would they still be able to connect to that energy? Like, would it still be there? And I'm like, I believe so, yeah. Because it kind of feels like an imprint. It's like almost like the atoms like meshed into the product somehow, or like I don't know, it's like this remnants, right? It hasn't really like dissipated or something. And so, and kind of like doesn't ever dissipate. It's kind of how it feels. And so they're saying it, so you see how it's more of a meditative practice, or it's like, it's a perception. It's a perception that they're cleansing the energy, that they're cleansing the space, they're cleansing those things, like, and how like sage obviously has cleaning properties, or properties that like cleanse the air, or beeswax, right? Like, there are practical elements to it, but energetically, is there anything? And from what I'm feeling is no. And so they're saying, so that is applicable somehow to how we as a collective would have to, on a soul level, on a deep, deep, deep level, be able to adjust the universal laws, somehow change that. I don't know where that relevancy, how that comes into this. And they're showing me two other things. So they're saying to ask for what you want, staying true to yourself, don't compromise or water down your ideas, listen to your trust and follow your inner voice. Time management, place your priorities at the top of your to-do list and don't allow distractions to deter your focus. And they're telling me these are two things that you're not going to fully understand, or one specifically that you're not going to fully understand, the other one you do, but this shows an example of why you're not going to understand it. So everything I talked about with cleaning the energy and all that stuff, I have decided, you know, I've been saying this on my channel, but I'm going to be more minimalistic because that's what I feel I want to do. And so I attach that to this idea with psychometry of like, oh, you know, thinking, well, my energy is kind of lingering on this stuff, or I have like energy from prior, you know, because I have antiques and stuff and all that. And so I went to a pick a card reading, White Feather Tarot. I like her. And she's kind of hit or miss, but I just like her. So anyway, so I picked a card on one of hers, and the first thing that she said was the card was something like cleaning out old energies, and she was talking about something else or whatever, and I was thinking she's more right than she realizes, like with regards to what I believe is going on, relevancy to my life. So she's talking about something completely else, that kind of associates, but she's not seeing it the way that I see, which I'm literally clearing out old energy. I'm literally getting rid of it in that sense. Like, that's the way that I'm perceiving what I'm doing. And so there's a connection there of things that I'm saying here where I'm not fully perceiving how accurate I am, because I don't know what's going on. I don't know the full story. I don't know the full spectrum of everything. And so they're also showing me, this is a forewarning, this is a sad story. I think it's a sad story. So, you know, I live up and down the coast, the East Coast, and we have palmetto bugs. They're like big roaches, and occasionally they get inside the house. So last night, my cat apparently got a hold of one, and I found it this morning, and I found the upper half of it, and I felt so sad. I felt so sad for this roach. I felt so bad. And I went to go get a tissue and like pick it up, and I noticed something that I hadn't noticed before, when I have found them, where like it had some of its internal, like it was mushed, and it was like making everything even worse for me, because I'm like, I already feel bad, now I'm seeing this, and it's just like so tragic to me. And then I could see it's like its antennas moving, and I thought, how could this be? And I was just like praying to myself, I'm like, please don't tell me, because they're so resilient, right? They're like ancient bugs. I'm like, please tell me that this isn't like some part of evolution for them where they can like survive on half their body and it's in excruciating pain. Like, tell me this is just like nerves moving it. So I put it out of its misery, but not even in the humane way. I thought it was humane, but I was just being a coward because I flushed it, and I was thinking like, then it'll drown if it's still alive. And that was probably out now, like, I wasn't even now, it was like after I did it, a little bit after, and I was thinking about it, I was like, that was probably just the cowardly way of saying I was going to put it out of its misery instead of just like putting it in the trash. I should have just gone through with it. Anyway, and I don't know how that associates with you whatsoever. There's a symbolic meaning to that, but they're really saying like to tie that in mostly to like that feeling, like they're like really highlight how I felt in that, which was just like helpless. Not really helpless, it was just like sad. I was just really sad because I couldn't believe that happened, and like feeling that empathy towards it, like just all the thoughts of like, I hope that it, with the whole evolution, like I hope it's already gone, I hope it's past, I hope that like even with like the bug's mental processes, is that hopefully it doesn't have too many like when it feels pain, it doesn't associate that with an emotional response, and it's not evolved that much when it comes to that. And just feeling like I don't really feel regretful because I did what I thought at the time, but it does feel very cowardly of what I did, and thinking like I don't even know if I would be capable of mushing it completely, but I guess if that's the right thing to do, stuff like that. Somehow that's connected. So let's pull one or two more. What here? Saying just don't explain it, just pull it and don't explain it. Color 40. Well, deserving. You, like all God's children, deserve happiness, health, and love. New project, like a newborn baby, your actions are growing your idea into a reality. Ask for what you want. Clear communication with yourself, with God, and with others helps you avoid misunderstandings and speeds up the process of answered prayers. Prosperity, your actions have resulted in incoming abundance. Helping children. Part of your life purpose involves teaching, guiding, and helping young people. So that's what I see. Bye.